This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, all. Good morning. Welcome back. So
Yes,
after a
sir.
long time, I
Sir, good
hope
morning.
everyone doing good morning. After a long time, after 2 weeks, we connected back, right? Yeah. So everyone safe and healthy. Okay. So yeah, actually, so due to this pandemic, yeah. So my family affected with COVID, right? So I informed already. So yeah. So currently we are doing good. So my kids and my wife and myself, we are all, by God grace, we are safe. Okay. So we recovered completely. Okay. So we haven't admitted anywhere. So we were in self-isolation. Okay. So we have taken some proper medicine with proper doctor. Okay. Apollo doctor. So he's a very good doctor. Prabhu Kumar, Mr. Prabhu Kumar. So he treated us. So he guided me and my family. So yeah, so I was very careful. So still I got infected. With me, my family also infected. So because the situation is like that, outside current situation is like that. So that is why everyone should take proper precautions when you go out, when you come in. Okay. So with you and me, so our families will be impacted. Okay, our families will be infected. So that is why we need to be very careful. So luckily my parents are not with me. Okay, otherwise, so it would be a very difficult situation. It was like normally, so when we face any issues, right? So up to us, around us, so it is okay. But whenever, so beyond the situations we face, so it would be very difficult, right? So yeah, so in our family, 4 members affected. Okay, my family members and my friends supported, right? So quickly, very like it has taken 2 weeks, but still have some weakness, but it is okay. It is manageable, right? So current situation is very worst. So that is why I'm requesting you, everyone. So please be careful, and when you go out, when you come in, okay, so with you it will be impacted to others. That is why your family will be impacted. That is why, so don't yeah, take chance. Okay, so you need to be very careful, right? So by God grace, we were in safe zone currently, my 2 kids, my wife and myself. Okay, yeah. Thanks for your support, everyone. Okay, so yeah, so coming to subject. Okay, so we got some gap, right? 2 weeks. Don't worry about it. Okay, I give you best
Yes.
subject. I give you very good subject. Okay, every tool, every service will go deep dive. Okay, so this week we'll cover AWS. Okay, next week onwards we'll start working on Linux sessions. After that, we'll start working on DevOps. Okay, so DevOps will go deep dive. Each and every tool will go deep dive. Okay, so we don't compromise anywhere subject wise. Okay, so from Git onwards, so we'll go deep dive. Git, Jenkins, Maven, Nexus, Ansible, Kubernetes, Docker. Okay, today morning I have taken a Docker session. Okay, so Docker session I have taken. So they were very excited. So because, so whatever tools we are going to learn will go deep dive, each and every tool. So in proper manner will move. Okay, normally outside when you talk about DevOps, people are confusing. What is DevOps? What are the tools? So many tools we have. How can we learn these many tools? How can we crack interviews? How can we get the job? How can we get dream job? How can we change the job? So learning is fine. You can search for an institute, you can join somewhere, right? But the trainers and institutes are confusing. So many tools, this many tools, how can I learn? So don't think like that. Okay. So whatever tools we are going to learn, very simply we can learn. So very easily we can learn, very easily we can crack interviews. Okay. So we don't require any proxies. I don't encourage proxies basically. Okay. So I did so many people. I did so proxies for so many people, but I don't encourage proxies. So you can crack your interview 100%, I'm sure. So that way I teach you. Okay, so no need to spend money for proxies. So forget about proxies. Okay, so if you have a win situation, definitely I'll involve. I'll do that. Okay, so without proxies, you will get your interviews, you will get your offers. Okay, that is the way we are planning. Okay, so yeah, each and every tool. So we'll go deep dive. So AWS, Azure, GCP, these are the platforms. These are very, very important because currently the situation is, the job situation is changed completely. Earlier, so when we start working on this cloud platforms, okay, 3 years before, in our project also, even if the guy knows about AWS with Jenkins, we used to take. Now the current situation is changed completely. At least 2 platforms should be required. AWS GCP or AWS Azure or GCP Azure. Along with that, DevOps tools required, right? So yeah, each and every service, each and every platform, okay, and each and every DevOps tools will go deep dive, will dig and will go deep dive, okay. So I'll try to give you best subject, okay. So we got some 15 days gap, don't worry about it, right? So whatever tools we are going to learn, whatever services we are going to learn, we'll go deep dive. Okay, so your duty is to practice every day. You need to practice more. Okay, whatever the subject we are discussing, whatever the tools we are discussing in the session, that you need to practice every day. So otherwise you cannot survive. So because services day by day will go move forward, right? So many services will be completed every day. So today we work on some networking part, tomorrow we'll work on some auto scaling, day after tomorrow we'll work on SNS. So day by day we'll go all these services, but you need to practice. Okay, so these platforms are important because, so before moving to DevOps tools, these platforms are required. Okay, so AWS you need to concentrate. Okay, so once we complete the AWS, this week mostly we'll complete AWS and we'll start Linux also. So Linux, three sessions it will take. Okay, Linux basics required. Linux commands, Linux architecture, Linux folder structure, origins, okay, whatever things are available. So that we required for DevOps. Okay, so once we complete Linux, then we'll move to DevOps. So DevOps, so each and every tool will go deep dive. DevOps is very interesting subject. Okay, so don't think like so many tools are there. Kubernetes is there, Terraform is there, Docker is. Don't think like. So these are very simple tools. Okay, very very simple. If you put some time in that, it is very easier. Okay, so Kubernetes is very hard. Kubernetes, Docker, Terraform, Ansible. These are very hard. Okay, Terraform also will go deep dive. Terraform will take nearly 10 days. Okay, so because that is very core tool. So Terraform with AWS, only Terraform AWS asking some jobs. Terraform GCP, only Terraform GCP, some jobs. Okay, Kubernetes, Docker with AWS, like that. We are learning this many tools, but we don't require this many tools in the same project. Same project, they don't use all the tools, right? So that is why you need to concentrate from today onwards. Okay. So yeah, I try to give you best subject. Okay. So we'll go deep dive every service, every tool, right? So you need to practice more. If you have any questions anytime, you can post in the group. So you can call me, you can WhatsApp me. Okay. So most of the time I'm in office calls, right? So that is why. So try to post in group. So if anyone practice that, they will respond. Okay, they will respond and they will reply. So if nobody is responding, then definitely I'll respond. Okay, so my target is everyone should learn properly, everyone should crack interviews, everyone should get offer. Okay, so if you are unable to crack the interview, definitely I'll involve. Okay, so my target is ultimately everyone should get offers. Everyone should get change their current role to DevOps role. So because market is DevOps, future market is DevOps only, right? Coming 10 years, market would be like this. Since 7.5 years, I'm seeing DevOps. 2013, I switched to DevOps. Since 7.5 years, year on year, it is growing like this. Market is growing like this. So coming 10 years like this, market on. So maybe some tools will be changed. 1 or 2 tools will be changed. That's it. Entire DevOps will not be changed. I'm sure. Okay, fine. So yeah, let us move to subject. Right. So last session we discussed about backups, right? AWS backup, right? Am I correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So today we start working on networking part, VPC. Okay, so this is very, very important. So when you want to create an instance, when you want to deploy any application, when you want to create any subnet, when you want to create any VPC, we required networking part. Okay, fine. It's a VPC, virtual private cloud. Yeah. So basically, what is virtual private cloud? What is VPC? Anyone having idea?
It's a logically divided space.
Exactly. Yeah.
In a
It is a yeah. Correct. Yeah. So it is a logically divided space in data center. Okay. So basically, what is VPC? Amazon VPC provision a logically isolated section of the AWS cloud. Logical space. So normally, so when we talk about logical space, for example, one data center is there. Okay. Yeah. So this is a data center. What is data center? Data center and ఏంటండి? So what is data center?
it's a data center is a building which contains lot of thousands of servers in it.
Yeah, fine. So data center is a server room. So people will call it as hub room, network room, different names. Okay, it is a server room. Data center is a server room, where the servers are hosted, where the components are hosted, where the switches are hosted, where the network is hosted, where the routers are hosted, where the backup devices are hosted. All the devices are hosted in data center, right? So in data center normally, so when we talk about, so it would be so complete floor. So we have one data center in our office, in our Hyderabad office. So we have data center. Okay. So it is completely one floor. Data center is one floor. Okay. So second floor in our office, second floor completely we have data center. One building, complete floor. Okay. So in data center, so we have server racks, network racks, switches racks, okay, routers, backup devices, server, different, okay, different components, okay. So all the components are hosted in data center, because so data center will have -degrees of temperature, okay. So they host centrally all the components. From there, cables will move to target places, right? So for example, this is one data center. Okay, so this is cloud data center, for example. Okay, AWS data center. So in this AWS data center, so we'll have some logical space. Inside of this, we have some logical space, which is nothing but a VPC. So VPC will be maintained by DevOps engineers. Okay, so when we talk about region availability zones, these will be maintained by AWS vendor. So we don't maintain, we don't touch anything. They will configure, they will install, they will set up that. But VPC we have to maintain. As a DevOps engineer, we have to maintain. Okay, fine. So what is VPC? Amazon VPC provision a logically isolated section of the AWS cloud. So it gives you the flexibility to scale and control workloads. Okay, connect regionally and globally. Fine. Yeah. So this is, for example, this is AWS data center. Okay. So this is one region. For example, this is one region. A region like Mumbai region. So this is just Mumbai region. Okay. So region is nothing but data center. Region is nothing but data center. Okay. So this region will have availability zones. So every region will have availability zones. Why we require availability zone? What is the use of availability zone? We'll try to understand. Okay, so region is a data center, region and a data center. Okay, so availability zone also data center, right? So under this region, we have availability zones. So this is one availability zone. So these are the availability zone. So what is availability zone? What is the user availability zone? We'll try to understand. So availability zone also data center, region also data center, availability zone also data center. But these two are data centers. Why we required again availability zones? So region is enough, right? Why we require availability zone? So these availability zones are like DR data centers. You can call it as DR data centers. DR data center means disaster recovery data centers. Okay, instead of the region, we have availability zones, right? Availability zone also data center. So these availability zones are DR data centers, disaster recovery data centers. So these data centers will sync the data every 2 minutes from one availability zone to other availability zone. Yeah, for example, okay, I give you some example here. So in 2016 or early 2017, some floods happened in Chennai. Floods happened in Chennai. So by the time, so there was no power, there was no diesel, there was nothing was available. In 2016 December, I think. Okay. So by the time, nothing was available to run the data centers. No power, no diesel, nothing was available. So by the time, so most of the IT area affected. Most of the IT area that floods, when the floods happened, most of the IT area affected. So our employees moved from Chennai to Hyderabad, and they started working from Hyderabad. Okay, so because nothing was available. So by the time, one availability zone was down in Chennai. Okay, so for example, this is Hyderabad availability zone. Availability zone 2A. Okay, Hyderabad availability zone, for example. So this is 2B, Chennai availability zone. This is 2C, Bangalore. For example, we have 3 availability zones. So Chennai is, for example, Chennai is down. Due to some floods, Chennai is down. So what will happen here? So whatever, so this is down, for example. Okay. So whatever production is running, whatever applications are running on this data center, okay, whatever servers are running on this data center, those will be down. So production will be down, right? So whatever business applications are running, those will be down. So yeah, in this case, what will happen, right? Whoever accessing this application, so they cannot access. For example, Flipkart application is there, Flipkart. Okay, so Flipkart application is hosted on Chennai availability zone. Chennai availability zone is down. So Flipkart application will not be accessible. So in this case, what will happen? So this DR data centers will help you to manage these applications up and running. In fact, so whenever this availability zone is down, automatically other availability zone will take care of all the applications, production, servers. Okay, so other data centers will take care of all the servers, all the applications, all the production. So because every 2 minutes the data is syncing with other availability zones, right? So someone asking some question here. So DR zone or geographical some, yeah. So basically this is not geographical, region based, region based. Okay, yeah. So here this Chennai, when this availability zone is down, so whatever production applications are running on this data center availability zone, those will be accessed from other availability zone. Okay, so even though the user who is accessing the application, they don't know where I'm accessing. So whenever this is down, automatically the applications will be accessed from other data centers, other availability zones. So for example, so this is down. So whatever applications are running here, those will be accessed from Bangalore or else Hyderabad. Okay, so user doesn't know where I'm accessing the application, but automatically it will take care. So this will be backend configured by AWS vendor. So we don't configure. So AWS vendor will configure backend. So region availability zones, we no need to worry about. Okay, so vendor will take care of all these things. No need to touch anything here. Okay. Yeah, fine. So and next one is Fine. So now, so for example, this regions and availability zones. So availability zone, if they want to establish, if they want to plan any availability zone, vendors like AWS or GCP or Azure, if they want to build any data center availability zone, so what they will do, they will check 100 years of historical data. So if any earthquakes are happening frequently, any floods are happening, any terror attacks are happening, so they will check all these things. So last time where they planned one availability zone to at Vizag, Visakhapatnam. So after Hudud, they cancelled that because when Hudud happened, by the time, so total most of the area affected, right? So that is why they cancelled and they moved to Kolkata. Okay, so if they want to build any data center availability zone, they will check 100 years of historical data. If any earthquakes are there happening frequently, or any floods are happening, any terror attacks are happening. Okay, so they check all these things. Hyderabad is the best place for availability zones, data centers, because here no floods, earthquakes are so very less, nothing, right? Terror attacks also very less. Right? So terror attacks, why I'm talking about terror attacks? So for example, if they plan availability zone at Pakistan, if any terror attack happened in Pakistan, so they put some 144 section. 144 section means data centers will be shut down. Applications will be down. That is why these are all considerations to build data centers. Okay, so they will check, vendor will check historical data. 100 days of historical data they will check, and they will consider the availability zones. Fine. So and yeah, these are the availability zone. So every 2 minutes the data will be synced with from one availability zone to other availability zone, right? Yeah. Under this availability zone, so we create VPC. So this is Mumbai region. Okay. Under this Mumbai region, we have availability zones. Under this availability zone, so we create VPC here. This will be maintained by DevOps engineer. This is VPC. Okay. This is the logical space, virtual space, virtual private cloud. Okay. So this is VPC. So why we require VPC? So without VPC also we can create servers, right? Why we require VPC? To secure our resources, we require VPC. So virtual private cloud, when we segregate virtually, okay, so we can secure our applications, right? So normally, so without VPC also, so we can create servers, default VPC. So by default, some VPC will be there, default VPC. In default VPC also we can create our servers, but we cannot secure. So when we create our own VPC, so we can secure our applications, we can control our applications. So we can restrict other to access our applications, right? So that is why, so normally what we will do, we'll create customized VPC and we can control our infrastructure here. And so this is our VPC. So under VPC, what we will do, so we'll create subnet. So what is subnet? Subnet and any guess, anyone? What is subnet? Under this VPC, we create subnet. What is subnet?
Dividing the network into multiple small networks.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yes.
So logically divided into some subgroup. Like for example, we have 1,000 servers in our environment. For example, 1,000 servers. Okay, so in 1,000 servers, we have 500 development servers, okay, 250 QA servers, 250 production servers. So if you create all servers as a single subnet, so what will happen? Developers can access QA servers, QA team can access other servers, other team can access this servers, that server. So because security concerns, so that is why logically divided into groups. The servers, whatever servers we have in the network, that servers we can logically divide it into groups. It is nothing but subnets. Okay, so subnets are two types. Two types of subnets are available. What are those? Yeah, so private subnets,
public, private, yeah.
Private subnets and public subnets. So this is private subnet. This is public subnet. So what is private subnet? What is public subnet? Why we require two subnets? So we can use public subnet or either we can use private subnet, right? So why we require two subnets, public and private? What are the importance here? So public subnet means those the servers, whatever servers we have hosted on public subnet, those are internet facing. Internet facing means we can access through internet. Public servers we can access through internet. So private servers, private subnet means, so it is access through intranet only, not internet, intranet. Public means internet, private means intranet. Intranet means, for example, so you want to connect your office network. You want to log in your office network from your laptop. First, what we will do? First, we'll connect VPN, right? Virtual private network. So that is your own network, your office network. First, you connect VPN, then you connect. Then you can connect your office network, private network, right? So public network means directly you can connect through internet, your office websites. So for example, so difference here is private means private applications like your internal applications, leave management system, time cards, okay, cab bookings, okay, and your internal applications, all applications will be private applications. So those will be hosted on private subnet. Public subnet means your company websites, job postings, okay. So those servers hosted on public subnets. So private, public, okay. So every company will maintain private and public because so all internal applications will be hosted on private subnets, all external applications hosted on public subnets, all internal servers hosted on private subnets, all external servers hosted on public subnets. Okay, so under VPC we have private and public subnets. Under subnets we create servers here. Instead of this, we create servers like this. Public servers, private servers. Okay, inside of these servers we host our applications. So public applications or private applications, whatever applications we host on this servers. Got it right? So our duty is to maintain VPC. We need to create VPC, we need to maintain VPC. So but normally we don't get chance to create VPC in real time because when the cloud platform setup, by the time vendor will involve and they will create. So we need to maintain. So whenever any servers required, we need to create. Whenever any subnets required, we need to create. So we need to maintain the VPC. We don't need to create any VPCs. Also one interview question here. Okay. So how many VPCs you have? They will ask you like this. In interview, interviewer will ask you how many VPCs you have. So don't tell like we have 10 VPCs 20 VPCs like that. Okay, so maintaining VPC is very heavy pricing. Maintaining VPC is heavy pricing. In last interview, I asked this question. One guy told that we have 10 VPCs. So what are the use of 10 VPCs? How many applications you are running on that? What are the infrastructure? I asked them. I asked the question again. So he could not explain that. Okay, that is why. So we need to be very careful. So when we are attending interview, so when interviewer asks you how many VPCs you have, you just tell like we have 2 VPCs or 3 VPCs maximum. Maximum 3 VPCs. Okay. So if it is a Microsoft, if it is Google, they will have 4 VPCs. 4 or 5 max to max. But normal companies, okay, so Capgemini, TCS, Wipro, so they will maintain 2 to 3 VPCs maximum, because maintaining VPCs is heavy pricing, right? So that is why. So when you are attending interview, when you got this question, so you don't, you should not tell more than 4 VPCs. Okay, definitely. If you tell like that, 8 VPCs, 10 VPCs like that, so they will understand you are not real experienced guy. Okay, so that is why we need to be very careful. Yeah, fine. So under this VPC, we have subnets, private subnet, public subnet. Under under subnets, we have servers, private servers, public servers, right? So yeah. So this is the setup. This is the way we create our VPCs. Okay, in real, even though in our Europe project, recently we created one project. So in that also we set up like this, same setup. Okay, fine. So any questions up to here, anyone? Before moving to lab.
Sir, you said generally the most of the companies use 2 to 3 VPCs, right? So what are those 2 to 3 VPCs used for? In case
Can you
if you
come
ask
again?
in interview. In
Yeah.
a general scenario, the most of the companies maintain only 2 or 3 VPCs. So in case if the interviewer asks us, I mean, what are those VPCs and how what are the use of 2 to 3 VPCs and what they are used for?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So normally what we can say. So yeah. Okay. So if, for example, you got some question, how many VPCs you have? You explained that we have 3 VPCs. Okay. So in that, normally what we can say. So we have one testing VPC, test environment, and we are using 2 production VPCs, or else one test VPC and one production VPC. Okay, so test VPC means test environments. Whatever test environments we have, those will be hosted on test VPC. Okay, and production applications, production servers, whatever you have, those will be hosted on production environments. So you can say one test VPC, 2 production VPCs, or else one test VPC, 1 production VPC, like that. Okay.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? Anyone? Fine. So let us go and create VPC. So we'll now. So if you want to create VPC, go to services, click on services, go down here, networking and content delivery. So click on VPC. Yeah. So here, if you click on your VPCs, so this is the default VPC. One default VPC available with every region. Okay. So don't delete this default VPC. If you delete this VPC, default VPC, what will happen? You cannot create VPC. It will not allow you to create VPC. Default VPC, you should not delete. This should be available. Okay. Fine. Now, so I want to create one VPC here. So yeah, launch VPC wizard. So here we use launch VPC wizard. Click on this. So here we have VPC with a single public subnet. So this is a single public subnet with one VPC. Okay, VPC with a single public subnet. VPC with a public and private subnets. So this is different type. Okay, so here we have only public subnet. There is no private subnet. Second one, we have public and private subnets. So third one, we have VPC with public and private subnets and hardware VPN. Fourth one is VPC with a private subnet only and hardware VPN access. Okay, so four ways to create VPCs here. So first two will work on. Okay, so VPC with a single public subnet, VPC with a public and private subnets. So first we can create first one, this one. So creating VPC is very simple. Okay, so select here, click on this. Yeah, so here, see here. So this is a VPC with a single public subnet. So IPv4 CIDR block range. What is CIDR block range? So every IP address, every range, every VPC will have some range. Okay, so this is a CIDR block range for this IP address, this single public subnet. Okay, so in this CIDR block range, 65,531 IPs we can accommodate. Means this many servers we can create in this CIDR block range. Okay. Next one, VPC name, my VPC. I'm giving my VPC. So public subnets IPv4 CIDR. So public subnet range. This is the public subnet range. So in this public subnet, we can create 251 IPs. Okay. Yeah. So we can give. That's it. Click on create VPC. Yeah, so VPC is created. So if you go and check here your VPCs, this is our customized VPC. Okay, so now we can test it whether it is working fine or not. So we can test it now. Okay, so how can we test? So we created one VPC. Under that we created one subnet. Under the subnet we can create one instance and we can try to access that instance. If you are able to access that instance, our VPC is working fine, right? That we can do it. Now, under this VPC, we can create one instance. So go back to services.
Sir, it's a chargeable. Is it chargeable?
Yeah, it's a chargeable. I explain you. Okay, it is chargeable. Whenever you complete your practice, you need to delete that VPC. Otherwise, billing will be happen. Go to EC2, running instances. This is running, right? Stop this first. Yeah. So now launch instance, select instance, configure instance. Yeah, instance, number of instance, one instance, and where you want to create network. You need to select network, custom network. This is the default VPC. See here, this is the default VPC. So I can select my custom VPC. Okay, see here, this is our own VPC. Select this and public subnet. Only public subnet is available. By default, it is selected. So when we select our own VPC, so public IP will be disabled. See here. So public IP is disabled. So we need to enable manually. This IP should be enabled manually. Otherwise, you will not get public IP to access your server when you select your custom VPC. So if you select default VPC, nothing will be happen. But when you select your custom VPC, this should be enabled manually. IP should be enabled. So, and go add storage here, add tags, tag name, some web server, configure security group. So yeah, you can create security group, some security group can create. Okay, key pair, choose existing key pair, launch instance. So now what we did, under our own VPC, we created instance here, right? So if you go to networking part, you can find that. Yeah, these are the details, our VPC details. This is our VPC name, my VPC, right? Fine. So now we'll try to access this server. So if you are able to access this server, our VPC is working fine, right? Now we can try to access this server. So copy public IP, go to party session, paste here, SSH, authentication, browse, key pair, open. EC2-user. Right? So I'm able to access this server. Means my VPC is working fine. Got it right? So we can test like this. Our VPC is working fine or not. Any questions up to here? Fine. So our VPC is working fine here. So now I delete this instance. Yeah, VPC, when you create VPC, so once you complete your practice, you need to delete that. Otherwise, you will get the bill. Okay. So VPCs are maintaining VPCs are heavy pricing. Okay, we'll get more bill for VPC. So once you complete your practice, you need to delete that VPC. So go to VPC. Your VPCs, click on your VPCs, select your VPC here, actions, delete VPC. Just give delete. Click on delete. VPC is deleted. Default one, don't delete. Okay. So default one, it is required. So by mistake, if you delete this, what will happen? You cannot create your VPC in this region. You need to switch to other region. Ohio region, we cannot create the VPC. You need to switch to other region and you can create VPC. Okay. Fine. Yeah. First one we have completed here. So next, second one also we can create one VPC with the public and private subnets. Okay. So till now we have created only public subnet. Right. So launch VPC wizard. Second one, VPC with public and private subnets. Okay. Select here. Yeah, CIDR block range. So in this range, we can create 65,531 IP addresses and the VPC name.
What is the use of that CIDR block, sir?
Yeah, CIDR block range means so that IP range. So by default, they are providing this range. In this range, we can create this many IP addresses. So normally in real projects, what will happen? So in your organization, you will have some different range, IP range. So here they are giving default range. So we cannot customize here. We can customize, but we need to have some subscription. We need to have some subscription here. But in your organization, basically what will happen? As per your IP range, you need to give the address here. As per your IP address range, as per your network range, you need to give IP address. That will be, that will be that will guide you by vendor. No need to worry about. So in real projects, when we are working on, vendor will involve and they will take care. Okay. So most of the we don't get chance to create VPC in real projects. Don't worry about it. Okay.
Sir, which means if, for example, this is a CIDR block range, so can't we connect the server from other IP range? For example, at 20.0.0. Something.
Yeah. So because IP range should be same. Otherwise, you cannot connect.
So we can't connect from other IP range other than this.
Yes, we can't connect. We cannot establish the communication between two servers. For example, in this range, we have created one server. So 20.0.0.0/16 other range is there. In that range, we have created another server. So both the servers communication will not be established. Okay, that is the thing. Yeah, fine. So now what we will do? So we stop here because already, we have 2 minutes only time. So I have another batch, next batch, right? So tomorrow we'll create this public and private subnets. So VPC with public and private subnets. Tomorrow we'll create. Okay. So we have so many steps here. For this second VPC, we have different steps. So tomorrow we'll work on this. Okay. So we required one elastic IP also here. So we need to take some NAT gateway elastic IP also. That is why. So it will take some time. So tomorrow we'll work on this. Okay. So VPC with single public subnet you can create today and you can practice. Tomorrow we'll create VPC with public and private subnets, and we'll create two servers in two different subnets. Public subnet we create one server, private subnet also we create one server, and we'll test it out whether it is working or not. Okay, tomorrow we'll test it out. So we can stop here for today. Any questions up to here, anyone?
No, sir.
Yeah. So up to
Sir,
here,
after creating instance, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, after creating instance, we are able to change VPC or not?
The VPC, once we create that, we should not change. If you change, network will be changed completely. Okay, network will be disturbed. Once we create the VPC, so it should not be changed. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, fine. So tomorrow we'll work on this VPC with public and private subnets. Okay, you can practice first one today. Okay, if you have any questions, you can post in the group. I'll give you solution. Fine. Yeah, IPv6. So currently we are not using IPv6. Till now we are using IPv4 only. IPv6 is the latest one, advanced one. So till now companies are not using that. That is also IP address. Okay. Fine. So we stop here for today. Tomorrow we'll work on this VPC with public and private subnets. Fine. Thank you all.